What if I told you that wealth is not about how much money you make, but how much control you have over it? Every day, millions of people work hard, earn money, and yet somehow remain stuck, stressed, and broke. Why? Because income without discipline is like water poured into a leaking bucket. It disappears, quietly, consistently. Now imagine a different reality. You wake up knowing exactly where your money is going. You feel in control, not anxious. You make decisions with confidence, not fear. This is not luck. This is not talent. This is discipline, the same principle that Napoleon Hill taught as the foundation of lasting wealth. In today's world of distractions, instant gratification, and endless spending temptations, mastering your finances is not optional, it's essential. And here's the truth: anyone can do it, but very few actually will. So if you're ready to break free from financial confusion, if you're ready to take control of your money instead of letting it control you, then stay with me until the end, because what you're about to learn could change your financial future forever. Lesson 1. Discipline begins with awareness. The fundamental law of financial management is that you cannot manage what you do not measure. Most people live in a state of financial fog, navigating their economic lives based on vibes or the general feeling of their bank account balance rather than concrete data. This lack of awareness is the primary breeding ground for anxiety. When you don't know where your money is going, every unexpected bill feels like a personal attack from the universe. Discipline, therefore, does not start with the act of restriction or the denial of pleasure. It starts with the courage to look at the numbers without flinching. Awareness is the light that reveals the leaks in your financial ship, and until you turn that light on, you are merely guessing at how long you can stay afloat. Achieving true awareness requires a granular level of tracking that many find tedious, yet it is the very act of recording a transaction that forces a moment of mindfulness. When you write down that you spent $12 on a mediocre lunch, you are doing more than just accounting, you are confronting a choice. This feedback loop is essential because our brains are naturally wired to underestimate small, frequent expenses while overestimating the impact of large, infrequent ones. We remember the car repair, but we forget the subscription services we haven't used in 6 months. Total awareness demands a comprehensive audit of every inflow and outflow, creating a topographical map of your financial landscape that shows exactly where the high ground and the pitfalls lie. Furthermore, awareness extends beyond the simple tracking of expenses into the realm of understanding one's net worth and the velocity of one's money. It involves knowing your debt-to-income ratio and understanding how much of your labor is being surrendered to interest payments versus building equity. When you become aware of the cost of waiting, the amount of potential investment growth you lose every day, your money sits idle, your perspective on discipline shifts. It is no longer about not spending, it is about the opportunity cost of every dollar. You begin to see your bank statement not as a list of things you've bought, but as a record of your priorities. If your stated goal is freedom, but your bank statement shows a heavy leaning toward convenience and luxury, awareness provides the necessary cognitive dissonance to force a change in behavior. Finally, maintaining this awareness over the long term transforms it from a chore into a superpower. A person who has tracked their finances for a year has a different psychological relationship with money than someone who has never done so. They possess a sense of financial intuition that allows them to make split-second decisions with confidence because they have a mental database of their financial reality. They know their burn rate and their freedom number. This level of clarity eliminates the need for willpower in many situations. When the reality of your situation is clear, the right choice often becomes the only logical choice. Awareness is the anchor that keeps you steady when the winds of consumerism and social pressure try to blow you off course. Lesson 2. Control your desires before they control you. The modern economy is a sophisticated machine designed specifically to bypass your rational mind and speak directly to your primal desires. Every advertisement, every carefully curated social media feed, and every one-click buy button is a hook intended to reel in your capital. To master your finances, you must first master the biological impulses that drive consumption. Wealth is rarely destroyed by the cost of survival. It is eroded by the creeping expansion of what we consider necessary. This phenomenon, known as lifestyle creep, is the silent killer of fortunes. As income rises, desires tend to expand to meet it, ensuring that no matter how much a person earns, They remain on a treadmill of perpetual labor to fund a lifestyle they don't even have time to enjoy. Discipline in this context is defined by the ability to delay gratification. This is perhaps the most difficult human trait to cultivate in an age of instant delivery. However, the psychological distance between wanting and having is where wealth is built. When you force yourself to wait 24 hours or perhaps 30 days before making a non-essential purchase, you allow the neurochemical spike of dopamine to subside. You move the decision from the emotional centers of the brain to the logical prefrontal cortex. Often you will find that the burning need for a new gadget or garment was merely a fleeting emotional response to stress or boredom. By controlling the impulse, you reclaim your agency and prevent your hard-earned money from being siphoned away by temporary whims. Understanding the difference between a can buy and an afford is a crucial distinction in the mastery of desire. Just because your credit limit allows a purchase or your bank account has the required digits does not mean you can afford it. To truly afford something is to be able to pay for it without compromising your future security or your current peace of mind. True discipline is recognizing that the most expensive thing you can buy is status paid for with debt. When you buy things to impress people you don't even like, you are essentially trading your freedom for a fleeting moment of perceived social standing. Controlling your desires means detaching your self-worth from your possessions and finding satisfaction in your net worth and your personal character instead. Ultimately, the goal of controlling your desires is to achieve a state of financial stoicism where your happiness is decoupled from your spending. This does not mean living a life of asceticism or deprivation. Rather, it means being the master of your tools rather than their servant. When you can walk through a mall or browse an online store and feel absolutely no pull toward the shiny objects on display, you have achieved a level of freedom that money itself cannot buy. You become immune to the keeping up with the Joneses virus. This internal control provides the psychological margin needed to invest aggressively and save consistently, as you are no longer competing in a race that has no finish line. You have won the war within, which is the prerequisite for winning the war for wealth. Lesson 3. Give every dollar a purpose. Money is like water without a container. It spreads out, evaporates, or seeps into the ground until nothing is left. Most people suffer from leakage, the mysterious disappearance of funds between paychecks that cannot be accounted for by major bills. This happens because the money lacks a specific mission. Giving every dollar a purpose is the practice of zero-based budgeting, where your income minus your outgoings, including savings and investments, equals exactly zero. This does not mean your bank account is empty. It means every single cent has been pre-assigned to a category. When you give your money a job to do, you stop asking where it went and start telling it where to go. This proactive approach changes the psychology of spending from a defensive posture to an offensive one. Instead of worrying if you can afford a night out, you look at your entertainment category. If there is money there, you spend it guilt-free because that money was specifically destined for that purpose. Conversely, if the category is empty, the decision is already made. You aren't denying yourself, you are simply following the plan you created when you were in a rational state of mind. This removes the emotional weight of decision-making at the point of sale. Your future self has already set the boundaries and your present self simply executes the orders. This is how you align your daily actions with your long-term values. Assigning a mission to your money also allows you to harness the power of intentionality in your investments. $1 assigned to a high-interest debt is a soldier sent to kill an enemy that is draining your lifeblood. $1 assigned to a low-cost index fund is a seed planted to grow into a shade tree for your retirement. When you view your money through this lens of utility, you become much more protective of it. You wouldn't throw away a seed or a soldier, so why would you throw away $1 on a mindless purchase? Every dollar has the potential to be a productive employee in your financial empire, and leaving those employees unemployed by not giving them a task is a waste of human potential and time. Furthermore, giving every dollar a purpose includes the vital category of generosity and joy. Financial discipline is not about hoarding, it is about the efficient allocation of resources. By intentionally setting aside money for charity or for experiences that truly enrich your life, you ensure that your wealth-building journey doesn't turn you into a miser. It ensures that your money is serving your life, rather than your life serving the money. A well-structured plan treats fun as a necessary expense, which prevents the binge and purge cycle of extreme frugality followed by reckless spending. When the mission is clear, the path to wealth becomes a steady, sustainable march rather than a series of chaotic sprints and retreats. Lesson 4. Build habits, not hopes. The world is full of people who hope to be wealthy, but hope is not a financial strategy. Hope is passive. It waits for a lucky break, a lottery win, or an inheritance. Habits, on the other hand, are active and compounding. The difference between the wealthy and the broke is rarely a single moment of brilliance or luck. It is the accumulation of thousands of tiny, mundane decisions made daily. Financial momentum is built through the boring habits of automation. By setting up automatic transfers to savings and investment accounts, you remove the need for constant willpower. You make the right choice the default choice. Over time, these automated habits create a gravitational pull that makes wealth accumulation feel inevitable rather than accidental. The power of habit lies in the mathematical miracle of compound interest, but compounding only works if it is given time and consistency. A habit of saving 10% of your income starting in your 20s is worth vastly more than hoping to save 50% in your 50s. This is because habits allow you to survive the volatility of life. When your financial actions are habitual, you don't stop investing just because the market is down or because the news is scary. You continue because that is just what you do. This consistency is the bedrock of success. The person who habits their way through a recession will always outperform the person who hopes their way through a bull market but panics when things get difficult. Habits also apply to the defense side of the financial game. The habit of checking your accounts daily, the habit of negotiating recurring bills once a year, and the habit of questioning every price tag are the defensive maneuvers that protect your capital. These actions, when repeated until they become second nature, require zero mental effort. Just as you don't have to try to brush your teeth, you shouldn't have to try to be frugal or try to invest. It should be an integrated part of your identity. When you shift your self-image from someone who is trying to save to someone who is a disciplined investor, your habits align with your identity, and the struggle to maintain them largely disappears. To build these habits, one must start small to avoid the rejection response of the brain. If you have never saved, don't start with 20%, start with 1%. The amount is less important than the neurological pathway being created. Once the 1% becomes a habit, increasing it to 2% is a negligible shift. This incrementalism is the secret to building unstoppable momentum. Over months and years, these small shifts aggregate into a lifestyle that is fundamentally different from the masses. While others are waiting for the big break that never comes, the person of habit is quietly, steadily, and surely building a fortress of wealth that no economic storm can topple. Hope is a wish, habit is a destiny. Lesson 5. Master yourself to master wealth. At the end of all the spreadsheets, charts, and investment theories, money is a psychological game. The markets are essentially a giant machine designed to transfer money from the impatient to the patient, and from the emotional to the disciplined. Therefore, the ultimate tool in your financial arsenal is not your bank account or your broker, but your own mind. Financial discipline is merely self-discipline applied to currency. If you cannot control your anger, you will make impulsive purchases to soothe yourself. If you cannot control your envy, you will overspend to match your neighbors. If you cannot control your fear, you will sell your investments at the worst possible time. Mastery of wealth is in every sense a byproduct of mastery of self. Self-mastery requires a deep understanding of your personal money script, the unconscious beliefs about wealth you inherited from your family and culture. Many people sabotage their own success because they subconsciously believe that money is evil or that they don't deserve to be rich. Mastering yourself means identifying these limiting beliefs and rewriting them with logic and intention. It means developing the emotional intelligence to recognize when you are using money as a proxy for something else like love, power, or security. When you can look at a pile of cash and see it for what it truly is, a tool for freedom and a medium of exchange, you strip it of its power to manipulate your emotions. The person who masters themselves understands the value of internal validation over external validation. They do not need the world to see their wealth to feel successful. In fact, they often prefer the stealth wealth approach, finding quiet satisfaction in the strength of their balance sheet rather than the flashiness of their car. This internal strength allows them to remain calm when the herd is panicking. During a market crash, the self-mastered individual sees opportunity where others see ruin. They have the discipline to stick to their plan when everyone around them is chasing the latest speculative bubble. This ability to stand apart from the crowd is the hallmark of the truly wealthy, and it can only be developed through rigorous self-reflection and the strengthening of one's character. Finally, mastering yourself means taking 100% responsibility for your financial outcomes. It means refusing to blame the economy, the government, or your employer for your situation. Even if external factors are unfavorable, the self-mastered person focuses on the variables they can control: their skills, their spending, their savings rate, and their attitude. This internal locus of control is the most powerful predictor of financial success. When you realize that you are the architect of your own fortune, the pressure to perform becomes a privilege rather than a burden. You stop being a victim of circumstance and start being a master of your destiny. Wealth flows to those who can manage themselves because they are the only ones who can be trusted to handle it with wisdom and longevity. Wealth is not a mystery. It is not reserved for the lucky or the privileged. It is built step by step through discipline, through awareness, through control, through consistent action. The truth is, money is a tool, and like any tool, its power depends on the hands that use it. If you lack discipline, money slips away. But when you master it, when you control your spending, your habits and your decisions, money begins to multiply, to grow, to serve you. This is the philosophy that has transformed countless lives. Not overnight, not magically, but steadily, powerfully and permanently. So ask yourself, will you continue letting money control your life, or will you take the first step today toward controlling it? Because the difference between financial stress and financial freedom often comes down to one simple thing: discipline. Start small, stay consistent, and never underestimate the power of controlling every dollar you earn. Your future self is watching, and it's waiting for you to make the right decision today.